Well, Happy New Year, everyone. Let's begin with 3 deep breaths, each time with a long exhale. And breathe in and breathe out. And in and out. And one more time, in and out. Welcome.
Good morning. I am delighted to welcome those of you watching online and all of you here in our sanctuary to our first service of 2026. My name is Margot Page, and I am your worship associate today. My pronouns are she, her, and hers. We're lucky to have our minister, Reverend Gail Lindsay Mariner, and our musical director, Lydia Madrick, here as well. We're grateful for our fabulous teams that make this morning happen. Our techies, Michael, James, and John, and our online chat minder, Charlie, along with our greeters, coffee makers, security folks, and office staff. Thanks to you all. We will now start by singing our hymn, Building a New Way, 1017.
Our opening words were written by the Reverend Michelle Collins. The piece is titled Sacred Descent. Welcome, all who are restless for a world renewed. We come carried by ancestors who refused the silence of despair and dared to sing a new song. Their courage whispers through us still. Today, We resist by showing up together. We resist by keeping faith with that which is not yet. Our gathering is itself an act of sacred dissent, calling us to rise and unite as co-creators of a freer tomorrow.
Our Shared Hope for the World by Pat Uribe Litchi is our chalice lighting today. The chalice we light today is a symbol of our faith. It binds us together as one people, a reminder that our strength is in our shared hope for the world, and that our common work is the creation of beloved community among ourselves and in the world.
All right. So, a number of years ago, a colleague visited who was a very skillful drummer. He did a service with us. His name was Matt Meyer. And he has a little book for the young and young at heart here called Desmond Gets Free. Now think just a minute about who you know who is a freedom fighter named Desmond. Okay? Story goes like this. Desmond the mouse lived in a beautiful meadow. Every morning he'd get up and he'd play all day in the meadow, and every evening he'd go to sleep right in the middle of the meadow under the stars. One night, though, Desmond awoke while it was still dark. He tried to roll over to move to a more comfortable spot, but something wasn't right. And Desmond realized that his tail was stuck to the ground and starting to throb with pain. He felt behind him, and there was a huge boulder that seemed to have fallen in the middle of the meadow just on his tail. Desmond pushed on the boulder. He tugged at his tail. He pushed again and tugged again. He pushed, but it was no use. When he was out of breath and had just about given up, he noticed that there was a giraffe nearby in the grass. Oh, good. Giraffe, Desmond cried, could you please push this boulder a few inches to in the other direction here so I can get my tail out from under it? And the giraffe looked at Desmond and laughed the way giraffes do. Silly mouse, said the giraffe. That's not a boulder, that's an elephant. He's fallen asleep in the middle of the meadow, just on top of your tail. Well, said Desmond, if you could just wake the elephant up and ask him to move a few inches, I could go free. Well, said the giraffe, you know what they say about sleeping elephants. I find it's best not to get involved in other animals' business. I find it's best to remain neutral in times like this. And Desmond quietly replied, well, I do not appreciate your neutrality. So the giraffe wandered off, and Desmond tried calling out to the elephant to wake him up, but those giant ears were just too far away on the other side of that giant elephant body to hear Desmond's little voice. So again, he pushed and he tugged and he pushed and he tugged. And when he was just out of breath and had almost given up, a gazelle wandered by. Gazelle, gazelle, can you help me move this elephant off of my tail? I'm stuck and it really hurts. I wonder if you could very gently wake him up and ask him to move just a few inches so that I can get free. Well, said the gazelle, I see the problem. But you know what they say about letting sleeping elephants lie. I find it's best not to get involved in other animals' business. It's best to stay neutral in times like this. And Desmond replied again, this time almost to himself, I do not appreciate your neutrality. Desmond tried again, and when he'd just about given up, he saw another mouse wandering through the meadow, and he called out to the mouse and the mouse said, "Well, my name is Nelson." "Nelson, this giant elephant has fallen asleep on my tail in the middle of the meadow, and could you run over and call into his giant ears and ask him to go just a few inches in the other direction so that I can go free?" "Of course," said Nelson. And he ran all the way to the head end of the elephant and climbed up to the big giant elephant ears and shouted into the ear. Now the elephant heard Nelson's little mouse voice as if it were far, far away. But he was so comfortable, he didn't feel like rolling over. So Nelson ran back to Desmond, a little out of breath, and said, "I have an idea. Don't move. I'll be right back." "I won't move," said Desmond. A little while later, though, Nelson came back, and he wasn't alone. He had brought 3 of their mouse friends, and they had each brought 3 friends, and the whole group of them ran over to the head of the elephant, and each mouse scrambled onto the top of another mouse's shoulders, and then they climbed up until the whole group of them had a mouse ladder all the way up to the top of the elephant, and then they crawled over each other until they were all standing right up the elephant's ear. And they said, "Excuse me, it seems you've fallen asleep on our friend's tail. Could you please roll over a few inches that he might go free?" And the elephant said, "I'm comfortable. Go away." So all the mice got closer together. And again, they yelled in that elephant ear. And the elephant just said, "I'm comfortable. Go away." And then, one more time, from practically inside the elephant's ear, they all yelled, "Excuse us, roll over." And the elephant did. "I was comfortable, but I'll move over if you'll just stop making such a racket." Nelson and the mice climbed down, and Desmond was finally free. And they spent the rest of the day playing in the meadow. Thank you. So, the elephant in the story was sleeping. But the elephant in our story is hardly somnolent. He's not dormant in the middle of the meadow. He's been stomping around and trumpeting and trampling everything he can get his feet on. He's been doing it for a year now, and the longer he does it, the louder and wilder he seems to get, and the more damage seems to be done. This is no time to be neutral. It will take a lot more to deal with this elephant than getting a bunch of other little creatures together and asking it to roll over. What happened yesterday, was it only yesterday, was appalling. It was horrific and shameful and gut-wrenching and wrong on every level. For a president of the United States to order military strikes on Venezuela and capture a Venezuelan leader without the participation of Congress ignores our Constitution and the international rule of law. It's dangerous, and it's got to be stopped. We have been practicing resisting for months now, right? Almost a year, maybe more. We've been learning as a community and as individuals how to push back. We've been doing it in lots of different ways, to the point where sometimes it almost feels like business as usual, right? We've been building relationships and identifying allies and taking care of one another. We've been paying attention to the news. We've been funding projects that support our values. We've been helping fund lawsuits. We've been working to triage harm and protect the vulnerable. We've been training ourselves to think about what's being asked of us and to resist when those requests are unlawful or not moral. We've been learning how to get the word out, how to gather people, how to make signs and build solidarity. Indivisible called an emergency protest down at the plaza last night. It was the most beautiful protest I've ever been at, with all those lights. But I got word at 3. I think I was able to get word to you guys by 4:30 or 5. There were about 100 people at the plaza, which is not bad given the short notice. And at least 10 of them were Unitarian Universalists, which means we had an outsized footprint. Yay, thank you all. We have been learning as well how to feed people and house people and how to stay healthy and how to show up and how to support our leaders when we approve of what they do and how to be outspoken when we don't. We've been learning how to use the power of our buying habits, or how to do without some of the things that aren't available from sources that feel ethical and in alignment with who we are. And we've been studying history and looking at tactics. All of this is part of what I think of as resistance training. Now, how many of you have ever gone to a gym and done resistance training, right? It means either pushing or pulling against something that is either pulling back or pushing back or doesn't want to be moved. You know, an elephant. So we've been doing this resistance training in order to get stronger. And I think that applies to what we've been doing in community as well. If resistance training is working, then some of the actions that I listed before should be feeling less effortful and like they take a little less bandwidth. What is it that we've been resisting? Well, we've been resisting polarization between the right and the left. We've been resisting othering, the belief that some people are more human than others, or less human than others. We've been resisting complacency and denial and fear. We have been resisting the shock and awe tactics of the current administration. We've been resisting corporate greed and compliance with illegal directives and the disregard of the rule of law. And you know, there was a lull before the holiday, but it's over now. So we need to not only keep resisting, we have to step up our participation. We have to up our game. And at the same time, we have to be building alternatives. Now, a couple of weeks from now is Martin Luther King Sunday. And we're going to have a wonderful service for you. But when I was looking at stuff and trying to figure out how we were going to do this, back during the civil rights movement, it was really clear to people that when they were protesting, they were participating in their sacred responsibility as part of a democratic system. And the participants in the civil rights movement signaled how serious they were and how human they were by dressing up. Theirs was an era of formal protest, right? So, on Martin Luther King Sunday, and I'm giving you, you all look very nice right now. But we don't hold a candle to those folks who were dressed up to protest during the civil rights movement. So folks, suits, ties, pearls, heels, as formal and 1950s inspired as you can manage. And I don't care which gender you are, you choose how you want to dress. Okay? So let's try it. Let's see if we can show up 2 weeks from now ready to make a statement. Because we know the next day we have an opportunity to be down at the Roundhouse for the NAACP's Martin Luther King Sunday, or Martin Luther King Day program. And then after that, I haven't seen the announcement yet, but I really suspect that there is going to be an action called by our friends and allies. And wouldn't it be fun to show up in full human dignity?
Each Sunday, we place 4 stones in our chalice to help us remember our values and commitments. The mountain-shaped stone prompts us to imagine a world where this place we gather in, called Ntewa Ogapoge, is cared for joyfully by the descendants of its ancestral occupants, together with all those who have come to love it and dwell in it. The geode inspires us to imagine a world where peace is endemic and war is a thing of the distant past, understood as an acute and deplorable failure of the imagination. The ancient fossil-studded stone helps us imagine a world thriving in the midst of climate change. A world where human participation contributes to a biosphere that is vibrant, diverse, and deeply alive. May the stone, which is divided into 2 parts by a vein of quartz, help us imagine a time when the differences between us are understood as boundaries that connect us. We honor these boundaries and our differences and use the democratic processes to ensure that all of us thrive.
We set aside a few minutes every Sunday for the sharing of our sorrows and our joys, knowing that sorrows shared are easier to bear and joys that are shared are multiplied. So let's see. Glasses. Maya Goldberg has a concern for Richard Palesi. He's a patient of Princeton Health and Rehab down in Albuquerque, and he is struggling with dementia. Please call or send cards. There is a table in the foyer which has more information on how to do that. We want to offer or light a candle of sorrow and support for UU Santa Monica friend Laura Weiner and her family, as Laura was unexpectedly diagnosed with cancer and sent home with hospice care. This is from Margot, who also needs to light a candle of joy. She heads with her husband Ian to family in Sweden, awaiting the birth of a new grandbaby. Robert Seletsky requests a candle of sorrow for the death of Nyala Wright, daughter of his dear friends Madeline and Booker Wright, which happened on January 1st. Jim and Gail Applegate Wright, it was 15 years ago. We spent the entire spent the entire month of January 2011 by attending all 5 Sunday services with UU Santa Fe. Well, we're sure glad you're still doing it. That's awesome. We have a request from Elizabeth to stop by the card writing table to sign cards for Richard and Happy New Year cards for a few of our shut-in members. Larry Metzger requests a candle of sorrow because of our country has invaded a sovereign nation in complete violation of international law. May the madness end. And then Susan and Katie write, great gratitude to be here and to have close family, including littles, on the road to health after a nasty bout of holiday sicknesses. Happy birthday to Brian Fredrickson, whose birthday is today, and to Michael Kelly, Alice Springer, and Catherine Salveson. We hope you all have wonderful birthdays. And we welcome visitors, which is one of the great joys in this congregation. So if you are visiting and you are moved to do so when I call your name, go ahead and wave. And if you don't feel like it, that's okay too. But we may still stop and say hello. So Tamara and Voxy Amavila from Phoenix, welcome. David Bishop, a member of John Bishop's family. David, welcome. Amber and Paloma from Santa Fe, yay, hello. Mike Boykin from Santa Fe, welcome. Laura Miniciello from Santa Fe, yay. And Bonnie Kittle from Colorado. All right, welcome. And we have another 5 or so that we think are visiting. Welcome to you as well. All right, so would you light one more candle for the sorrows and the joys that we have heard, and for those that remain as yet unspoken in the recesses of our hearts. And let's sing Spirit of Life together. Resting now on the echoes of the music, I invite you to a time of quiet and contemplation. If it's comfortable for you, I invite you to close your eyes, to take a deep breath, and to consciously let your body relax. Exhale, and as you do, let any tension or anxiety that you might be holding, let it dissolve. Let it exit your body on your breath and disappear. Breathe and let your thoughts drift. Breathe and feel your heart soften and open. Let it unfold until it can cradle all of the sorrows and all of the joys, all of the anxiety and grief and worry and hope and optimism and camaraderie that are part of being human in this moment. Breathe. And as we rest together, become aware of all of the other people in the room and of those watching us online, and feel yourself held in this web of connection, in this web of affection and respect and unconditional regard. And know that you do not have to bear the challenges of your life or the challenges of our time all by yourself. Breathe. And as we rest in the quiet, I'm going to offer some words for your reflection. Again, from Reverend Michelle Collins. Spirit of connection and love, bless the many ways that we resist. Bless those who march and who organize. Bless those who cook and donate and write. Bless those who tend to the weary, who pray or hold vigil, and those who say, rest now, I'll take this shift. Let our wide circle honor every offering, whether it is visible or unseen. And may we release the myths that define resistance in certain ways. And remember instead the truth of shared power. May this be our prayer, to sustain one another's courage until quiet faith and public fire become one movement of love.
Our reading this morning is quite long, so buckle up and join me with Wendell Berry's manifesto, The Mad Farmer Liberation Front. Love the quick profit, the annual raise, vacation with pay. Want more of everything ready-made. Be afraid to know your neighbors and to die. And you will have a window in your head. Not even your future will be a mystery anymore. Your mind will be punched in a card and shut away in a little drawer. When they want you to buy something, they will call you. When they want you to die for profit, they will let you know. So, friends, every day do something that won't compute. Love the Lord, love the world, work for nothing. Take all that you have and be poor. Love someone who does not deserve it. Denounce the government and embrace the flag. Hope to live in that free republic for which it stands. Give your approval to all you cannot understand. Praise ignorance, for what man has not encountered, he has not destroyed. Ask the questions that have no answers. Invest in the millennium. Plant sequoias. Say that your main crop is the forest that you did not plant, that you will not live to harvest. Say that the leaves are harvested when they have rotted into mold. Call that profit. Prophecy such returns. Put your faith in the 2 inches of humus that will build under the trees every 1,000 years. Listen to Carry-On. Put your ear close and hear the faint chattering of the songs that are to come. Expect the end of the world. Laugh. Laughter is immeasurable. Be joyful, though you have considered all the facts. So long as women do not go cheap for power, please women more than men. Ask yourself, will this satisfy a woman satisfied to bear a child? Will this disturb the sleep of a woman near to giving birth? Go with your love to the fields. Lie easy in the shade. Rest your head in her lap. Swear allegiance to what is nighest your thoughts. As soon as the generals and the politicos can predict the motions of your mind, lose it. Leave it as a sign to mark the false trail, the way you didn't go. Be like the fox, who makes more tracks than necessary, some in the wrong direction. Practice resurrection.
So, there we go. Wendell Berry's poem was written in 1973, and I had chosen it for the service a few weeks ago. What I noticed is that with the exception of a little technological anachronism there at the beginning, back when we were using punch cards to store data, the rest of the poem could have been written last week. As Unitarian Universalists, we understand that wisdom is available in many places. We say revelation is not sealed, and guidance is available everywhere. Available from Heather Cox Richardson and NPR, but also from the natural world, from the newspaper, from poetry, and from the process of thinking and acting together. I, like you, am still reeling from yesterday's events, and I want to be grounded and centered and poised to respond in appropriate ways, and I suspect that you want the same. So I want to return to Wendell Berry's poem and suggest that there is wisdom there for us in the present moment. He offers a whole suite of ways we might resist the challenges that seemed likely and now have come to pass. Let's see if my instincts were right, and if there is something useful to be mined from the Mad Farmers' Liberation Front. I'm going to reread the poem a few lines at a time and offer my thoughts on what kind of resistance Berry might have been advocating. And then I'm going to ask you, each time, to brainstorm in your head or with a partner some concrete action that any of us might take as a form of resistance. Okay? It'll be a little different each time. There are 10 little segments, I think, that make sense. So the first one was love the quick profit, the annual raise, and vacation with pay. Want more of everything ready-made. Be afraid to know your neighbors and to die. And you will have a window in your head. Not even your future will be a mystery anymore. Your mind will be a punched card shut away in a little drawer. And when they want you to buy something, they're going to call you. And when they want you to die for profit, they will let you know. So the first form of resistance I think I hear there in that piece is to extract yourself from capitalism and the news cycle. To turn off your devices and for part of each day to disconnect from social media. To curate your intake of news and to invest in your life and your neighbor, right? If they say, be afraid to know your neighbor, what do you need to do? You need to invite that neighbor to dinner, right? What else? Just think a moment. What else in that vein might you do? Is there a web service that should be canceled? Spotify comes to mind, but there are more. Is there a sign you could put at the end of your driveway? Maybe. Berry continues, so friends, every day do something that won't compute. Love the Lord, love the world, work for nothing, take all you have and be poor. Love someone who doesn't deserve it. How could you be confusing? It's a wonderful form of resistance to befuddle people. Not necessarily the people you love, although that sometimes happens. But again, and we'll talk more about this next week, we live in a culture where everything is supposed to be smooth and effortless. There are whole reams of books on how to make your business frictionless so that people will do what you want. Behaving in ways that don't compute. Showing up in person at your bank to do your banking. Or insisting on a phone conversation or coffee. What happens when you center love and humankind rather than efficiency and profit in every one of your interactions? What happens when you resist by loving people, by loving the natural world, by being a kind, generous, human kind of person in every situation? I invite you to think for a moment about one way you could resist by centering love. Okay, here's the one that's explicitly political. Denounce the government and embrace the flag. Hope to live in that free republic for which it stands. Don't just hope, right? Speak out and reaffirm your democratic values and your humanitarian ideals. So how do we do that? How do we denounce the government and embrace the flag and advocate for the free republic for which it stands? Thoughts? Yard signs, I already said. What else? Postcards. Yeah, especially postcards to our elected officials. Handwritten notes kind of have a different impact. Yes, what else? Phone calls, emails. Holly. Hang a flag. Yeah, Jim. Letters to the editor. We are known as a wordy and eloquent bunch. How many letters do you think we could get in the paper? All right. 4. This was the hardest one for me to sort of parse and figure out. Barry writes, give your approval to all you cannot understand. Praise ignorance for what man has not encountered, he has not destroyed. Ask the questions that have no answers. Now, I have trouble with this because how do you resist by being ignorant? It's kind of hard. Are we supposed to be resisting brainwashing or the 24/7 dripping of venomous news sort of on there in the background? I wonder if a way to resist is by being curious about what's missing from the stories that we are presented, about the things we don't know or can't see. I think we resist by refusing to believe what we can hear and see until we've vetted the sources and done a little more homework. I think we resist by consciously looking for honest sources of information and being willing to dig for the truth and refusing to fall for the easy answer. We resist by refusing to repeat a rumor as a fact. What else? When we think about ignorance and questions that have no answers, how might they help us resist? Yeah, Larry.
It meant that a lot of what we were taught when we were younger is not true.
It meant that a lot of what we were taught when we were younger, admit that a lot of what we were taught when we were younger isn't true. Yeah, we were taught the United States was this paragon of virtue. Surprise. Yeah. So admit that, because when you know the reality of that, you weigh the information that comes to you in a really different way. Invest, this is 5, invest in the millennium. Plant sequoias. Say that your main crop is the forest that you didn't plant and that you won't live to harvest. Say that the leaves are harvested when they fall to the ground and have rotted into the mold, and call that profit. Prophesy such returns. Put your faith in the 2 inches of humus that will build under the trees every 1,000 years, and listen to the carrion, to the dead stuff. Put your ear close and hear the faint chattering of the songs that are to come. Take the long view. Look at the really big picture. Don't get stuck in what happened yesterday. Think and act in terms of distant generations, not in terms of this current election cycle or the immediate crisis. This too shall pass. Change is inevitable, but it isn't guaranteed to be good. So, what does taking the long view have to do with resistance? Is surviving a form of resistance? Yeah. Is stewardship of the planet a way of resisting? Of course. Your turn. Tell someone sitting near you, I'm going to give you 1 minute. Tell someone sitting near you one way that you might resist by taking the long view. You can do it. Or not. Frogs, to remind us of the long view. I don't know why, but. So the sixth piece, expect the end of the world. Laugh. Laughter is immeasurable. Be joyful, although you have considered all the facts. An acute awareness of threat and mortality and change can make the present moment more precious. It used to confuse me when I had several Jewish friends, and when they got married, inevitably, the rabbi would talk about needing to do things in Israel and, to support the continuity of the people and to deal with this war or that war. I kept thinking, why would you talk about that at a wedding? It's supposed to be a happy time. But of course, it is a happy time, and we savor it all the more when we know it's not a done deal, when we know it wasn't inevitable, when we know that it will pass. In the midst of a crisis, if you are still alive, and friends, we are all still alive, remember in your bones that life is worth living. It is resistance to do what you can to live a joyful, loving life in the midst of all the chaos and confusion and suffering that are out there in the world. Think for a moment, now and in the days to come, about how you might use laughter and joy as modes of resistance. 7. So long as women do not go cheap for power, please women more than men. Ask yourself, will this satisfy a woman satisfied to bear a child? Will this disturb the sleep of a woman near to giving birth? Power is only healthy when it is shared. So look to those who are not complicit in structures of power, the outsiders, the women, the marginalized people, if you want guidance on how to live well. These people have insight on how to survive and how to resist what our Christian brothers and sisters call empire. What can we learn from them about resistance? Whose voices might we center when we're trying to understand what is happening? In our moment, those who have been fired, those who are immigrants, those who have been unjustly accused of any of a number of things. And next piece is one of my favorite parts. Go with your love to the fields. Lie easy in the shade. Rest your head in her or his lap. And in that moment, swear allegiance to what is nighest to your thoughts. Figure it out, folks. What is nighest to your thoughts if you are laying in the middle of a field with your head in your lover's lap? Holding on to hope is an act of resistance, protecting and affirming life and nature and pleasure and love and the core goodness of people. Those are acts of resistance. Caring for yourself and for your beloveds and for your neighbors are acts of resistance. Avoiding the indulgence of despair is an act of resistance. Art and music and beauty are acts of resistance. What else have I missed? Thoughts? You're lying in the field with your beloved. Life is beautiful and good. How can this be an act of resistance in a moment when the principalities and powers want us to be afraid? Love, in any and all of its manifestations, is an act of resistance. As soon as the generals and the politicos can predict the motions of your mind, lose it. Leave it as a sign to mark the false trail the way you didn't go. Be like the fox who makes more tracks than necessary, some in the wrong direction. So since the principalities and powers want us to be predictable and docile, Barry calls us to do the opposite. Be unpredictable. Be a little rebellious. Be a little crazy. Wear an inflatable frog suit. Bicycle naked. Elect democratic socialists who happen to be Muslim. In the face of greed and lawlessness and destruction, resistance can look like being generous and generative. It can look like supporting the Constitution, hanging a flag, defending the rule of law, and having the backs of the elected officials who are actually actively working to support us. That's pretty easy here in New Mexico. Resistance looks like putting your energy into creating multiple viable alternatives to the world we used to live in. We can't go back because all of this has happened and has exposed fractures in the system in which we are living and flaws in the way that it was built. It's shown us that the stories that we were told are not true. So it's going to have to be something new. How do we imagine that future? That unpredictable, crazy, outside of the lines kind of future. Practice resurrection. Barry. Practice resurrection. That was like a really good punctuation mark, wasn't it? Boom. We resist by practicing resurrection, by believing that our values and ideals and dreams will not only endure, they will be reborn in a new form. But in order for this to happen, every single one of us needs to practice resurrection and practice resistance in whatever ways that we can. So, we are going to, in just a moment, offer you a gift. We hope you will wear it or put it somewhere that it will remind you of your commitment to resist. But before I can do that, I have to ask you to make the commitment to resist. So turn to one of your neighbors and just say, I will resist. All right, go ahead. So we're passing out stickers. Put it on your clothes, put it on your phone, put it on your dashboard. We shall overcome. So, friends, we are running a few minutes over. If you need to nip out, please know that that's okay. You can do that. It is First Sunday Giving. There should be a green envelope on your chair. January is the first Sunday that we use to replenish what I think of as the minister's emergency fund. but which is in the budget as the minister's discretionary fund. Although I can use it for any church-related purpose that seems fitting, I have chosen to use it to help people, members, friends, and strangers, get through small crises with grants of a few $100s. We don't give cash, we pay a bill. Could be a gas bill or a copay on a prescription. As social services and safety nets are cut, I anticipate a strong need for these small financial Band-Aids. They make a difference in lots of people's lives. Today's offering goes to refill that account and support the people it aids. Thank you. Now, Roberta, where are you? There she is. Roberta is on both our Board of Trustees, but she's here with her Program Council hat on, and whatever other 14 hats.
And whatever else. So I have 3 extremely quick things to mention to you. One, if you've been visiting and want to learn more about us or thinking about maybe joining sometime, we invite you to Inviting You In, which is a little gathering we're going to have on the 25th of January in the morning. If you want to sign up, there's a link in the weekly, or ask Elizabeth at the welcome table. Secondly, I think you may know from the weekly that Mardi Gras is coming, and you will be receiving an email this week with a lot more information about that. But we have some handouts in the back on a table if you want to grab something today. The last thing is something that we haven't done for a really long time, or maybe never. And this is that the board and the stewardship committee would like to invite members and friends to sign up to come to one of our, what we call, stewardship conversations. This is one of those things where you do not bring a checkbook. It is just to talk about what's going on here, what you love about it, what you'd like to see changed, and what you think stewardship means. And I know from all the things we talked about this morning that we all have some pretty good ideas about that. So members and friends will get an email about that this week. You will sign up on the RSVP church thing, and there will be like 6 sessions listed. Pick the one that fits your calendar. Thank you.
And now we are going to pass the baskets in grateful appreciation of our shared values and commitments and of one another's generosity. So that was the Resistance March, right? From... The Force be with you. No, The Force Awakens. From The Force Awakens, Star Wars, the Resistance March. All right, closing words, friends.
Our closing words today are by Wayne B. Arneson. Take courage, friends. The way is often hard, the path is never clear, and the stakes are very high. Take courage, for deep down there is another truth. We are not alone.
Take hands with someone near you, and let's just say our benediction. May love and skill be in our hands. May love and courage fill our hearts. May love and wisdom light our minds. May love flow through us and walk among us as we live our lives and work to heal our world. Amen, shalom, namaste, blessed be, assalamu alaikum, ashe, aho. So turn and greet your neighbors and have a wonderful week.
Thank you for joining us today, friends.
We hope that you enjoyed today's service. Please take a little time and explore our website and visit our online welcome table if you'd like to know more about us. Otherwise, we'll see you next Sunday morning. Stay in touch and be well.